If you've broken trust in your relationship, it can seem impossible to fix it. So listen up, because I'm going to tell you how to gain trust back in a relationship. Trust is my thing. And the reason why it's my thing is because couples that come in to see me, I deal with betrayal. They come in to see me and they say, Brannon, I want to feel safe again. We want trust again in our relationship. The pain that we're feeling right now has everything to do with broken trust. So help us. I know exactly how to rebuild trust in a relationship. So you're going to want to listen to this. Stick around to the end of this video because I have a free gift for you that is a tool that's going to help you build trust in your relationship. When trust isn't in a relationship, I say that you really don't have a relationship, because if you don't trust each other, you don't actually know who you really are. So what kind of relationship do you really have? Now, trust is broken in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's a big, massive thing, like an affair, a betrayal, a big disclosure that comes out, and it rocks your world as the partner. Sometimes it's little, tiny, subtle things that happen in a relationship. Subtle lies, subtle avoidances of the truth, or omissions that happen over time. And you start to realize, my partner's not a trustworthy person in that area. However, trust is being broken down. If you lack trust, it will make it impossible for you to have intimacy, safety, and deep connection in your relationship. Trust is the foundation of a healthy relationship. Think about trust like a bucket of water. So there's a bucket and there's water dripping in it very slowly. Over time, trust gets built up and you have it in the bucket. One incident can tip that bucket over and spill all of that trust. And guess what? To rebuild trust or get it back, you're going to do it drip by drip. You can't get all that water that spilled out in an instant. It's a process to rebuild trust. I want to tell you a story about a guy that I know named Steven. Now, Steven broke trust with his wife many, many times. He cheated on her, he betrayed her, and she found out. The first time she found out, the bucket was tipped over, the trust was gone, and he had to rebuild trust. Well, he kind of rebuilt trust, and then he kicked the bucket over again. He cheated on her yet again. Now, you might be thinking, his spouse, what is she thinking? Why would she stay with him? Something told her to stay. Over time, he was able to totally rebuild the trust in that relationship again. Believe it or not, he has safety. She trusts him. She knows who he is. But he had to do certain things in order for that to happen. I talk about trust all the time. I give different angles, different tools, different techniques to rebuild trust. So if you're in the process of building trust or you want trust in your relationship, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Rebuilding trust is a process of showing somebody that you have what's called integrity. Integrity is the key to trust. When you lack integrity, you can't build trust. Now, think about it. When you sit on a chair, you trust the chair that the integrity of the chair is going to hold you up. When you walk across a bridge, you trust that the integrity of that bridge is going to hold you up so you don't fall. It's the same thing with a relationship. When you feel like your partner has integrity, then you trust them. They keep form. They are who they say they are. Their word actually means something. That's what integrity is. Now, how do you know if you have integrity? Or how do you know if your partner has integrity? Here are the indicators of integrity and the automatic things that we do as a partner to kind of gauge whether or not your partner has integrity. You're gauging whether or not they're honest. Honesty is critical in showing your partner that you have integrity, that you don't omit things, you don't live in denial, you can say things that are difficult to say, even when they're hard to say them. You have to have honesty in order to build trust. The next thing is empathy. Now, you may be thinking, what does empathy have to do with trust building? Empathy says, I can connect to you on the hard stuff. I have enough fortitude, I have enough self-worth, I know who I am, so that I can go there with you. Now think about how much that would build trust. You know who you are, you're confident, and you can connect to me on an emotional level. You're gonna feel understood, you're gonna feel loved, and you're gonna feel seen by your partner if they can empathize with you. Now, the last thing that's critical to all of it is consistency. Without consistency, you will never have trust. Just like I was saying about the bucket of water, drip after drip after drip, eventually the trust builds up. Over time, it's a process. You can't build trust in a day. And this is what's difficult sometimes for a couple, is they'll come in and they'll say, we want safety. Well, guess what? You're gonna have to be patient and engage in that process of consistent empathy and honesty in the relationship so that you know that your partner has integrity. And that's when you'll have trust again. Do you know that your car is gonna start in the morning? If I were to ask you, is your car gonna start tomorrow? You'd probably say, yeah, most likely. Is the sun gonna come up tomorrow? Do you trust that the sun's gonna come up, give you a sunburn and make you nice and warm? Well, why do you trust that the sun's gonna come up? Because consistently the sun has come up over and over again. Consistently your car has started in the morning over and over again. Because of that, you trust those things. There's consistency there. Now, I have some good news and I have some bad news for you. The good news is there is a lot of things you can do to work on yourself, to be a person with integrity, and to create trust in the relationship. That's awesome. There's a lot of things in your control. The bad news is there is something that's not in your control. All you can do is the best that you can. But the other side of it is your partner needs to take a risk. They're gonna have to get vulnerable in order to trust you again. They won't know if you're an integrous person unless they open themselves up and take that risk. Now, there may be good reason why they don't wanna do that again. So what I would suggest is stay the course. Stay honest, stay empathetic, stay consistent. Stay the course anyways, even if they're not wanting to get vulnerable with you. And over time, hopefully, they'll take a risk with you because they can see that you're changing. They can see that you're different. So as you work on yourself, you have integrity, and they practice vulnerability with you, those things together create trust. So here's my suggestion for you if you want to gain trust back in your relationship. First off, do your own work. If you've broken trust, you've broken it for a reason, and you don't want to repeat those patterns of behavior. So make some shifts, do some therapy, do some work on your trauma or the reasons why you've been dishonest in your life. Do your own work. Secondly, learn how to empathize. Maybe you don't have the skills of empathy that you need. Study it, practice it, go to therapy, learn how to empathize, and it will help you connect more to your partner. Lastly, practice courage and be consistent. If you do what you've always done, you're gonna get what you've always gotten. Now, the things that you do, you've done out of fear probably in your relationship. Instead of acting in that fear, act in courage, and act in courage again and again so that you can show up as a consistent partner to create trust in your relationship. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. If you want more content, more in-depth content that will help your relationship, then check out my relationship reset. You can find it in a link below.